Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man's Quarter channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm reading a chapter out of my Ghost of Southern Mountains in Appalachia book by Nancy Roberts. And the chapter I'll be reading out of here today is The Haunted Copper Mine. And this story takes place in a town in Tennessee called Ducktown. They named it that because they got a lot of ducks. I don't know. But anyway, let's start the story. Jack McCullough had worked in the mines all his life, and, as his friends used to say, there ain't much Jack's afeard of. Like every man who worked in the mines, Jack lived with danger, but he knew how to handle it better than most, or so everyone thought. The Ducktown copper mines were on the Georgia-Tennessee border, and they were the only places a man could make money as good as $1 a day in the 1890s. And here's a picture of an opening to the mines, but as you can see, it looks like it's overgrown. Jack was working a tunnel about 400 feet down one day. Whoa, that's a long way down. I'd be scared to go that deep down in the earth. When a bunch of men became scared to death. One of the engines failed that ran both the air pump, which pushed fresh air through the mine, and the wooden elevator that brought men up from the shafts. The miners ran toward the shaft and began scurrying up the steel wire ladder that hung on the solid rock wall. Climbing from level to level, they were all crowded around the base of the ladder, and some were pushing and shoving. Just as McCullough's turn came to go up it, a panic-stricken old man thrust in ahead of him, and McCullough stood aside, letting him go up first. I mean, if somebody was older than me and they did not want to be stuck down there any longer than me and the others, I would let him go first. Jack was the last man to go up the ladder. Later, his fellow miners talked about it, and when one of the mine officials asked him if it were true, he just said, "Well, we couldn't all climb that ladder at once. Someone always had to be last." A few months later, Jack McCullough was working about 400 feet down in the mine when he went to the end of one of the tunnels that had been blasted the day before in a pocket of rich copper-bearing ore. By the light of the lamp on his cap, he began to pick up large chunks of the ore and load his mine car with the blasted down rock. He had been loading the car for almost an hour when he heard a peculiar hissing sound as if air was escaping from the pipe. Now, I'll be thinking it might have been a snake, but I bet you it ain't no snake down there in the mines. The pipes brought the life-saving fresh air under heavy pressure along the tunnels. The sound grew louder, and he began to think it might come from water running down the side of the tunnel. He stopped shoveling the ore and began to listen. As he did so, he was aware of a change in the sound. No longer was it a hissing nor the noise of running water, but it was becoming more and more eerie. It was a chorus sobbing and moaning in unison, and he recognized human voices. Somehow he knew it was the voices of all the miners who had died in this mine, and their cries were so loud they seemed to surround and overwhelm him. His hands became clammy, his face headed with perspiration, and he didn't finish loading his mine car, but pushed the car to the shaft as quickly as possible. The wailing seemed to follow him all the way to the skip. He rode the skip up, dumped his ore, and went to the surface. Boston told him he had heard the cries of all the men who had ever been killed in this mine. The face of the man who had long been unafraid was the color of ashes. The boss looked at him and paid him off, nor did McCullough ever go back to work in the Isabella copper mine at Ducktown again. I wouldn't blame him for not working in there, because if I heard that noise, I'm sorry. If it's haunted, I ain't going. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more book reading content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man's Quarter channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and I said that's a wrap, and have a nice day, y'all.